All right, y'all. What's good? What's good? What's good? We is back. We is back. All right, so this is the last week regular season of Division II football before we get into the conference championships. Now I want to get into the SIAC side of things first. The championship game is going to be played at Albany State. They got the 1 seed already, so they're going to be waiting on either Kentucky State or Benedict. Now Benedict wins. Now, if Benedict beats Savannah State, then they're in. Now, the only way Kentucky State would be in is they would have to win against Lane, plus Benedict would have to lose. And I want to talk about those two games for a little bit. Now, Kentucky State is going up against Lane. Now, I ain't going to lie to you. Lane, I think that should be a fairly easy game for Kentucky State. Lane has not been a good team so far this season. They've been struggling just to find a win. I don't think they have a win yet so far this year. And meanwhile, Kentucky State, their offense has been explosive all year. Matter of fact, they're on a 6-game winning streak, and 6 out of the last 7 games, they've been scored at least 30 points. And it's led by these two receivers in Darius, number 4, and Darius number 4 and John McCall. No, John McCall number 4 and Darius is number 10. Those two receivers have been absolutely explosive all year long. Those two are probably going to be first team SIAC, and one of them is probably going to be an All-American. I don't know, but that's how explosive this team has been this year. And I ain't gonna lie to you, I thought it was a fluke when they barely lost to Grambling State, but nah, man, this team is for real. And that loss to Grambling State is looking better and better each and every week, man, because I think they've been on a roll ever since that loss. So kudos to Kentucky State, and this is probably one of the best Kentucky State teams I've seen in quite a long time. I mean, they did good in 2021, but outside of that, they don't really have a long history of winning like that. So kudos to Kentucky State, man, and they look good this year. And I think that should be an easy win for Kentucky State, if I'm being honest. Now, the game that's going to be tough is Benedict and Savannah State. Now, both of these teams have a real good front seven, especially Savannah State, even though offensively they're a little challenged. They're a little challenged, really, but they do have a guy in Sincere at receiver that the offense really goes through him. He had, I think last week when they played against Albany State, he had 9 catches for 111 yards. And even though they didn't win, that game was fairly close. And Savannah State, they don't give up a lot of yards rushing. They really don't. I think on average, they give up less than 80 yards rushing a game. Now, granted, last week, I think Albany State ran for, a little over 100 yards, but that's highly unlikely that happens. Now, this Savannah State front seven is for real. And Benedict, especially in the passing game, the last 2 games, has not played well. Darius Ocean has not played well in terms of throwing the ball the last 2 games. Even in a win last week against Lynchburg. I think he probably had less than 70 or 80 yards passing. So Darius Ocean is gonna have to be the reason they win this game. Listen, I think Savannah State is gonna put an emphasis on trying to stop the run because Trenton Morgan is good at running the ball. I think he's top 3 or 4 in the conference in rushing. But I think Savannah State is going to put an emphasis on stopping the run and making Darius Olsen beat them. And Darius has been hit or miss so far this year. He has been. I mean, there's some games he's been good, some games he hasn't. And, so Darius Olsen, he's going to have to be the reason they win this game. But I think Savannah State, especially with them being at home, they do have a lot of seniors on that defensive side of the ball. So I think defensively, they're going to bring it. And they played Albany State very well. They only lost by 3. Granted, with Savannah State not being a great offense, they played very well last week. So I think Benedict should win the game, but listen, it's not going to be easy at all for Benedict. It's not going to be easy at all. So Darius Ocean is going to have to be the reason they win this game. But listen, Albany State beat both of these teams convincingly. So whoever they going to play next week, they're going to be feeling confident going into the championship game, no matter who they play. So I think it's going to be interesting, man. And shout out to Isaiah Knowles, man, for Albany State. They've been playing very well. And I think regardless of what happens in the championship game, I think they'll be in the playoffs regardless of how it goes. I think they're number 22 in the country. So I'll be waiting on them for real. And the CIAA, of course, Virginia Union is in the championship game already. They're the 1 seed, and they're going to be waiting on either Johnson C. Smith or Fayetteville State. Now, all Smith has to do is beat Livingstone, and they're in. And my alumni ain't going to let that happen, but we'll talk about that. And Fayetteville State has to beat Winston-Salem State, and Smith has to lose in order for them to go. Now, listen, I ain't gonna lie to you. This Johnson C. Smith and Livingstone game, man, is gonna be a bomb burner. That's gonna be one of the games that I react to, of course. Like, I have to. I was there for homecoming last week, and they played against Shaw, and Livingstone defensively, their front seven is, man, they are hell raisers. And the front runner for defensive player of the year, I just saw him play last week. Kenan Gardner broke the school record for the most sacks and tackles for loss in a season. Not only that, he leads the country in both categories. This man, this man had I think he had 2 sacks, a safety, and a fumble recovery for a touchdown. But the thing is, he's been doing that all season long. And mind you, they have a guy in Kevin Loggins who just 2-3 years ago was CIAA Defensive Rookie of the Year, and he's a 2-time all-conference performer. So this defense has some talent on it. Now, I think what's gonna be key for Livingstone is they're gonna have to be able to run the ball on this team because Smith has a solid front seven. Matter of fact, they have a solid defense overall, and I think this team is better than they were last year. And I think it starts with Calvin Durham. I think Calvin Durham has definitely been he's definitely been life. Like, he's been bringing life into this offense. I think their offense looked better, and it scored a lot more points than it did last year. They averaged like 35 something points. Now, last week, Fayetteville State really slowed down that offense the entire game. They really didn't do much up until the fourth quarter. Like, they didn't score until the first quarter and the fourth quarter when they really needed it. But, this Smith team is tough. I think they're tough all over. They have a guy in Bobby at the running back spot. They have 2 good receivers on the outside that can go. So this Smith team is for real. Like, I'm not going to disrespect them at all. And it's the Commemorative Classic, so you already know that game, and that game is going to be in Charlotte. So I think that game will be packed. And listen, I think Livingstone going to win. Listen, you already know who I got winning, man. Like, I ain't like we ain't gonna, you know what I'm saying? We ain't gonna. But listen, I think it's gonna be a good one. I'm not gonna hold you. I respect the Smith team, and especially after what they did last week to, one of the better defenses in the CIAA in Fayetteville State. And speaking of Fayetteville State, they're going up against Winston-Salem State. Now, Winston-Salem State has been struggling the last 4 games. I think they're 1-3 in the last 4 games, and they're coming off a bye week, in which I don't know why they had a bye week this late in the season. Like, this is their last game of the season. I don't know why they have a bye week and then play one more game. That's kind of crazy. But and the last game they played was against Smith, and they got put 52 points put on them. And, you know, they're not, like, offensively, they can put up points. But defensively, they've been struggling the back half of the season, of the year. So, now, even though Fayetteville State isn't explosive offensively, they do have guys on offense that, you know, especially the running back console, who can definitely put up yardage, you know, and have given the lane to. And Winston-Salem State isn't great at stopping the run, so Fayetteville State can they can exploit that defense, you know. But they're gonna be playing at home, so I think this matchup is gonna be, I think it's gonna fare Fayetteville State's way. But Dalen Lee can throw the ball for Winston-Salem. He can throw the ball, so if he can, you know, listen, for Winston-Salem, they're gonna have to get that ball out quickly. Because one thing about this Fayetteville State team is that they get to the quarterback. Matter of fact, they lead the CIAA in sacks. They got about 40 sacks, 50 sacks on the season. So this defense is hell. I just seen it last week against probably one of the best offenses in the CIAA. But no matter who wins this game, I don't know if neither of them teams is gonna beat Virginia Union. And Union has been man. By that dude Curtis, I ain't gonna lie to y'all. I'm gonna talk about that running game some more in another video. But that man Curtis, that running back, listen, I know he's a bigger body, but he running just as hard as Jada Byers did. Mind y'all, Jada Byers was 5'7", 5'8", about a $160, $170. This guy right here, Curtis, is 6'2", running the same exact way. So whoever that coach is, I want to speak about that guy, because whoever is the running back coach over there, he's doing a hell of a job over there. Because this offense looks they don't look no different than how they did when Jada Byers was in the backfield. But this Virginia Union team, man, they are for real. And it don't matter if they win or lose against V-State, they're still going to be in a championship game, even though I'm pretty sure they want this game. They want this game. And mind you, the only game that they lost to against Edward Waters, that went down to the wire. So, listen, I think this Union team is tough. Whoever comes out of the CIAA going up against Union, they're going to have a tough time next week. But, listen, I'm excited for all these games. I'm going to be glued in to all 4 of these games, especially against Benedict and Savannah State. That's going to be the one for me. And, of course, Livingstone and Smith. Of course, I'm going to be watching that. But listen, I can't wait. You know, championship Saturday is almost on the way. So we're going to see what happens, man. But I'm excited for all these games. And good luck to all these young men.